Hi everybody, how you doing? It's Kevin here. Hopefully we're live on Facebook and you can hear me okay. I'm just going to double check to make sure that we are. It looks like we are anyway. So if you can hear or see me, always a good thing to have feedback for sure. Now, if you do leave a comment today, I may not be able to see it straight away, but please do leave a comment if you find this interesting, as we will be talking about what Tony Robinson's mentor taught me today. What we're going to do is talk about what do you want in the next 10 years. And this is great for, if you don't know who Jim Rohn is, by the way, Jim Rohn was Tony Robinson's mentor. I've learned quite a bit from him, and that's what I'm bringing you some of the teachings today from Jim himself, which was a leadership weekend. You'll see the cover there on the screen, actually. A leadership weekend with Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, and Denis Waitley at the time. So what they were doing was they were talking about things of setting goals and having goals and writing down a plan over a 2 to 5 year period. But one of the things that a lot of people rush into is they rush into maybe a business, a new venture, and they don't actually write down any clear, precise goals of what they want to achieve. Now, this is not what somebody else wants to achieve. Don't be influenced by that. Influenced by your own dreams and your own desires. It's very, very important. There's lots of people in this world that do things purely based on the economics rather than what they want in life, and as a result they end up, 10 years becomes 20 years, 20 years becomes 30 years, and 30 years becomes 40, and before they know it, they're looking at pension retirement funds, and they still haven't done what they set out to do. So this is to give you clarity in relation to getting you to think about what you could achieve over the next 10 years. Now, when you're breaking down a 10-year goal, you really want to break that down into a 10-year goal, a 5-year goal, a 1-year goal, and even you can break it down to a 1-month goal and a weekly goal to get you to your overall vision. So important things to know, that you want to make sure that it's something that you want, not what somebody else wants. It's got to be selfish to yourself. Now, if you're in a partner, a relationship, write down goals separate, okay? And don't share them until afterwards, okay? And I'll talk to you about how you can do that a little bit later on. So what I want you to do is just kind of think about, I'm going to tease things out about what you can do and what you can create, because there's lots of things that you can do in your life, okay? But if somebody, before I came in contact with people like Jim Rohn and Tony Robinson, and Les Brown and Zig Ziglar and people like that, my mindset was just, this is okay for somebody else, but it's not really okay for me. I didn't feel worthy of being able to do these things. So for a long time, I don't know whether you can relate to that, but in certain aspects of where you grow up, what your education is, there was a very much focus on different aspects of things that when we were growing up. So over the years, I've invested time and money into learning from these people, and I just want to bring you some of that today, so hopefully you get something from it. You can have it if you, I'm just going to take off my glasses here, okay, because I want to read this. You can't have it, you can't, if you can't think it, you've got to put it on paper, okay? So basically, in other words, what they're saying here is get a pen and paper out the old-fashioned way. If you're using your PC, just have it somewhere that you can actually go and get it, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to make a list out of things that you want, okay? So here's a few ideas of what you can think about to add to that list. What foreign countries do you want to visit? Now, some people call it different lists. They call it goal setting lists. They call it bucket list. But what kind of countries do you want to visit over the next, number of years? What foreign countries do you want to visit? Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Australia? Do you want to go to New Zealand? Do you want to go to America? Do you want to do Route 66 on the back of a motorbike? You've got to have something that you want, because if you have something that you want, it'll make it stronger for you before you actually go out there and accomplish things. Because once you start setting these dreams and goals, what will happen is life will take over. And if you let life take over, you lose your vision, your clarity of exactly that you want, what you want. So it's important to get the pen and paper out and write it down. Okay, what kind of countries would you like to visit? You know, maybe you want to go on a cruise around the Mediterranean. Maybe you want to, you know, visit Canada, you know, and see Lake Louise and Banff and Jasper. You get the general idea here. Maybe you want to go to Asia. Maybe it's Japan. It's somewhere that you want to go throughout your lifetime and what you want to do. Okay, what skills do you need to master, such as a foreign language? Do you know, because if you're going to go to a certain place, it's good to have some sort of background of a foreign language. You know, I don't mean studying it as you would do through college and degrees and all that kind of stuff. What I'm talking about is if you're going to Spain, for instance, that you have a few words in Spanish that you can communicate with the people, you know. But not only that, as Jim Rohn once said, he says, people who have several languages, foreign languages, do better in their careers as they can be, you know, they're sought after more. So just think of that as well. What kind of skills do you need to master? What kind of skills do you need to master? Like, say, for instance, if you want to set up an online business, what do you need to do? Who do you need to seek out? What kind of things do you need to do? So it's all basically the same concept here. So what skills do you need to master? That could be anything. It could be anything from learning the computer, how does it work, how to do live streams on Facebook. It could be, you know, what kind of language do you want to learn as you're going around the place. Now, what kind of home do you want to live in the location as well? So where do you want to live? So let's say, for example, that you're living in your very first house. It might be the house of your dreams that you desire to have, but you can envision yourself where you want to live in the next 5 years. So what kind of area do you want to live in? Good thing to do would be to start and go and investigate that area, see what it's like, see where it's around. Is it for the family? Is it for the kids? Does it have a green? Is it close to schools? All these kind of things that you might want to do. And if you can get this down on pen and paper, what you're doing here is you're expanding your mind. You know, an expansion of the mind is a great thing. Sometimes we're caught in the 9 to 5 that we forget about all these good stuff. And this wasn't taught to me in school. It wasn't taught to me in college or anything like that. But it's really worthwhile doing. So if you can envision where you want to live. Now, again, this is not down to somebody else or somebody else's thinking. It's about what you want, you know. What things do you want to own? So what do you want to own in 5 years' time or 2 years' time or 1 year's time? Do you want to upgrade your car, that you just have a car that's paid for in cash? Is it something that you want to do? Is it your favorite car? Is it a Porsche? Is it a Lamborghini? Is it a BMW? Is it a Ferrari? Is it a Mini? Is it a Beetle? Just have something that you want to have, and then, you know, think about those things that you want to own. So they might be materialistic things like cars and boats, and they might be, you know, in secondary property. It could be a tour property. It could be something that you want to do to give you a bit more financial security. Okay, so again, pen and paper, write these things down. They're really worth going through. What experiments do you want to have, such as seeing a sunrise? You know, sunrise over. Let's say sunrise. Where would you like to see a sunrise? In Bali or somewhere like that. In off the Jamaican Islands. Is it New York? Is the sunset just coming up over the Irish coastline here? You know what I mean? Some beautiful scenery here. So you just kind of playing the dream in the mind as well. What things are insignificant to someone else, maybe important to you? So this is important, okay? You got to recognize what you want, not what somebody else wants. Too many people compare themselves to somebody else and that kind of stuff, but it's got to be what you want, okay? So you're going to work hard throughout your life, and you're going to work hard anyway. So is it something that you want to work towards your dedicated dream, or do you want to be employed by somebody else, so you're working for their dedicated dream where they can go off on the yachts and everything like that and sail away? Just something to think about. What habits do you need to change? This is a very good one, okay? Because we're all conditioned to habits, like from early years in school. So you were taught to go to school and college to get a fill in the blank, and the vast majority of people are talking about to get a job. But maybe you need to change that thinking, because the pension funds aren't lasting as long. Inflation is at an all-time high. Things are really shifting in relation to, jobs. Robotics are coming into play there. I was only looking this morning about a robotic waiter coming around. Now, if you had talked to somebody 10 years ago about somebody who's going to replace my job as a robotic thing, well, that's happening. It's happening now. Maybe you work in a building site and you think, well, that's not going to go, that's not going to happen to me. They're building 3D building houses now where you don't need to have the bricklayer. So you've always got to be thinking about change. Change is the engine of growth, as somebody once said to me before. So changing your perspective of where you want to go. So maybe you want to change your perspective of, a job is a secure job to a job is paying me temporarily until I build my future. So you just got to think about that, and you've got to kind of draw upon that, and you've got to understand that things are changing all the time. The world is changing really quickly. We've got robotics, we've got technology, we've got a war, which is bizarre, but we do. So things are changing very, very quickly in the world, and it's good for you to have clarity in relation to your dreams and your goals, because then you have somewhere that you're going every single day when you get up to do something. You're not drawing off to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, social media, some celebrity pulling you off in a different direction. If it doesn't fit in with your dream and goal, it's a bad thing, okay? Because you want to have clarity. Health, do you want to acquire? What kind of health do you want to acquire? Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Over the last few years, I've had a back operation, I've had a neck operation, I have vertigo to deal with, and some issues there. And you can work on that now. So I'm working on it now. I'm working on the fitness side of things now. And I'm doing some courses in relation to that to give me the strength to kind of go on and to be able to bring some more great information to you guys. Okay, so you know that expression, your health is your wealth. You've got to invest in your health, don't you? Really, to be honest, every single one of us do. And we need to acquire that health and acquire the things that we need to do in order to become successful in health. So my goal would be to do 1% every day and try and improve from that. Okay, simple, effective, but over the years 365% increase. So it's worthy of doing some stuff. Do you want to develop a new career or generally enhance your own career? Do you want a new career? Do you want to break out? I have found that since we had the coronavirus, that people have been shifted. They're moving now to different careers, whereas maybe they didn't do it before, but they're definitely moving in a different direction because they're looking for something which is going to give them a better lifestyle or a better financial security. You know what I'm talking about? So there's a definite shift in relation to doing that. So maybe there's something that you want to do that you've been putting off, and you say to yourself, I'm going to get a pen and paper out, I'm going to write it down, and then I'm going to start working on it. So we get clarification in relation to what we're doing here. So when you go back to this list, then you know exactly what you're going to do, Okay, so this is a good one, okay? What will give you the greatest satisfaction, pleasure, joy to life, to live in an unbelievable life over the next 10 years? Now, the joy factor is a great one here too. So maybe it's something that you want to do outside of whatever you're doing. So it doesn't have to be all financial. It doesn't have to be all about money and stuff like that. But what you could do is you could become part of maybe a charity, an organization, something that's growing, something that's helping somebody. along the way, your fellow brother and sister. Get involved in a charity, or start to look at saying to yourself, well, I've never really thought about bringing in somebody from a different country, a refugee. Maybe that's something that I want to do. Maybe it's something that you want to do just as a fact of you want to invest, or you want to become a great painter, and you've put it off for so long, and then all of a sudden that you want to do this. So these are kind of things that kind of can bring you pleasure and joy. Maybe you want to pick up an instrument, learn the instrument, and get that going. Okay. Now, here's a good one for the ladies, okay? Maybe you want them, or the gents, okay? Maybe you want a maid, a cook, a butler, or a chauffeur, just to be able to drive you around places and, get you where you want to do. Now, sometimes a maid, a cook, a butler, and a chauffeur could be a mum. But in this case, you want to make sure, if you want it, you don't want your mum doing it, so maybe that's something that you want to do. So it gives you hands off that you can go and do, and other stuff that maybe you want to do. All we're doing here is stretching your imagination, okay? If you could have anything that you want in the next 10 years, what is it? And that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Okay, what is it? What is it? If there was something that you could have over the next 10 years without limiting yourself to your own self-beliefs, what would it be? Because for a lot of people, their own self-belief holds them back, because they listen to well-meaning people. Sometimes they're loved ones, sometimes they're people who are just, going nowhere, doing nothing, and they get sucked in to their way of thinking, and they're not surrounded themselves by positive, uplifting people. Maybe they're in a toxic environment where they need to be out of that environment to start to learn from successful people. If there's one thing that I could tell you to do over the next 10 years, would be to learn new skills, okay? Especially with digital marketing, online marketing, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be anything in any area, it could be robotics, it could be, it could be teaching, it could be anything, but add value to yourself and your life and your business as well, if you have that. So that's what I wanted to cover today. So once again, what is it that you want over the next 10 years? You can break those down into goals, but if you don't get that pen and paper out and start to write things down, you'll find very quickly that life will pull you in all different directions, and it won't be giving you clarity and focus in relation to what you want to do. You've got to make these selfish goals. You don't want to be making them, if you've got a family, you're going to keep them goals separate, okay? These are just selfish goals of what you want over the next 10 years, okay? It's not to do with the kids and the family. You can do those goals separate. You can do partner goals separate and stuff like that. And I started off by saying at the beginning of this here, don't share your goals and dreams with your partner unless they are willing to sit down and do this program and write it out themselves. And then when you're finished writing them out separately, then you can switch them over. That's the big point there that you're going to make. And then you can include family goals. What do you want to do in the next 10 years? What adventures do you want to go on together? What is it you want for your children to pass down? Maybe there's something that you want to do for a third generation of a child, your grandchildren, secure their financial future. It's all about what you want in the next 10 years. But what you got to do is not to limit your self-beliefs, but expand them so that you can get exactly where you want to go. With that said, that's my lot today. Hopefully you enjoyed this. This is some stuff that I've learned from Tony Robbins' mentor, which is Jim Rohn. This is Jim here on the screen, just in case you haven't seen him. I've also learned from Tracy and Denis Waitley and Les Brown and Tony Robbins and Dean and all these kind of people that you surround yourself with, and Zig Ziglar and so many other ones within the industry. Paul McKenna was another one that I've been studying as well. So lots of good information that we can share and drive through with you. So hopefully you got something of value to this. If you get the opportunity, take an hour, take 2 hours, whatever you can do, and take the time out of your life just to write down these things. And then you'll have clarity to go to work on something. So once you know what you want, if an opportunity presents itself to you, you're now in the frame of mind of saying, yes, this is something that I want to do. If you don't, your opportunities will pass over your head. They'll slip through your fingers, and you'll never see them. So with that said, that's my lot for today. Hopefully this resonates with one or two of you. Hopefully you enjoyed this today, and I will talk to you again soon, very soon indeed. If you have any comments, you can leave them below. If you want to share it out, you know how to do that on Facebook by now. And with that said, I'll talk to you very soon indeed. Okay, so that's my lot today. Be safe and stay well.